All right, let's talk about something in math that can look, well, a little scary. Long division, especially when you're dealing with those tricky two-digit divisors. But we're going to conquer it today. Yeah, I know. Take a look at this problem. 87,134 divided by 38. If you're looking at that and thinking, whoa, that's a lot, you are definitely not alone. It looks pretty intimidating, right? But here's the thing. I promise you, it's way easier than it looks. By the time we're done here, you're going to see how to break this beast of a problem down into simple, totally manageable pieces. So first, let's just take a quick step back to our comfort zone, division with a single digit. You know, the basics. We all know how this works. You just go digit by digit. It's a pretty smooth process. This right here, this is what changes the game. When you're dividing by a single digit, like 8, you can just use your multiplication facts. How many 8s fit into 52? You probably know that's 6. But how many 24s fit into 52? Suddenly, it's a whole different ballgame. That's not something we just know off the top of our heads. And here's a really great way to think about it. Using a bigger divisor actually means you take fewer steps to solve the problem. But, and it's a big but, each of those steps is a much bigger challenge. It's like trying to climb a staircase by taking 2 or 3 stairs at a time. Fewer steps for sure, but each one is harder. So how in the world do we handle those giant leaps? Well, you need a secret weapon, and that weapon is estimation. It's all about making smart guesses, turning a really hard question into a much, much simpler one. So instead of trying to figure out how many 38s can I fit into 191, which is just tough, we round the numbers to something friendlier. 191 is pretty close to 200, and 38 is pretty close to 40. Now the question is, how many 40s fit into 200? See, that is so much easier to answer. It gives us a fantastic starting point. Okay, enough theory. Let's get our hands dirty. We're going right back to that monster problem from the beginning, but this time we've got our secret weapon ready to go. Let's do this. So, first things first. We're not looking at the whole number. We're just looking at the very beginning. Can 38 go into 8? Nope. So we look at the first 2 digits, 81. The question we need to answer is right here. How many 38s fit into 81? Time to pull out our secret weapon. 81 is basically 80, right? And 38 is super close to 40. Let's just round them to make our lives easier. And how many 40s fit into 80? Well, that's a no-brainer. It's 2. So our first smart guess for our answer is 2. Now we just follow the good old long division process. We multiply our guess, 2, by the real divisor, 38, which gets us 76. Then we subtract 76 from 81, and we're left with 5. And here's the crucial part. We check. Is our remainder, 5, smaller than our divisor, 38? Yes, it is. That means our guess was perfect. All right, next step. We bring down the next number, which is a 7. That gives us 57. And we ask the same question again. How many 38s fit into 57? This one's pretty easy to estimate. We know 2 38s would be 76, which is way too big, so the answer has to be just 1. Okay, so after we do the math for that step, we bring down the next digit, a 1. Our new number to work with is 191. So the question is, how many 38s can we squeeze into 191? This is another tricky one. No problem, let's just use our tool again. We'll round 191 up to 200 and 38 up to 40. Now, how many 40s are in 200? Easy, it's 5. And that's our next smart guess. And would you look at that? Our smart guess was almost perfect. 5 times 38 is 190. We subtract that from 191, and our remainder is just 1. That's a fantastic estimate. We are definitely on the right track here. Now, let's be real, it doesn't always go that smoothly. So let's talk about a couple of the most common spots where people get stuck and exactly what to do about them. So from our last step, we bring down the next digit, a 3, and that gives us the number 15. And you might pause here and think, wait a second, how many times can our big divisor, 38, possibly fit into this little number, 15? The answer is actually super simple, 0. It can't. 38 fits into 15 0 times, so you just pop a 0 up top in your answer. This is a really important step, because that 0 is a placeholder that keeps all your other numbers lined up correctly. Don't forget it. Okay, here's the other classic trap you can fall into.
What happens if you do your subtraction and you look at your remainder and you realize it's actually bigger than the number you're dividing by?
Don't panic. It's not a disaster. All it means is that your smart guess was a little too low, a little too conservative. No big deal. If you guessed 5, just erase it and try 6 instead. It's just a simple course correction, that's all.
So we've been deep in the weeds with the mechanics here, but let's zoom out for a minute and ask the big question. Why does this even matter? Why should you learn this skill? And you might find this next part a little surprising. While it's absolutely valuable to understand how all this works, when it comes to those super long, complex division problems in the real world, yeah, that's a job for your calculator. And that really gets to the heart of it all. The goal here isn't to turn you into a human calculator. The goal is to make you a better problem solver. It's about seeing a big, scary problem and knowing you have a strategy to break it down and tackle it logically. Learning a process like this trains your brain to think, and that's a skill you'll use absolutely everywhere. Thanks for tuning in.